The first 3 races have been completed so far in the season, as we now begin to kick off the West Coast swing of the Power V8 Cup Series live from Denver Motor Speedway for the B Water 400. Hello everyone and welcome again for some more Power V8 Cup Series action. We're getting set as 42 drivers are going to get ready to go 50 laps around this speedway. And it's going to be very exciting, our second intermediate track of the season and the first race of the next 5-race West Coast swing. Will be going across from Denver all the way to Wisconsin, then to California and Arizona, where we will end the West Coast swing. Should be exciting as these guys have had a couple of weeks to get prepared for this race. Let's go ahead and take a look at our top headlines and stories. Recapping from last week's crazy event, the Coca-Cola Shootout at Middle Georgia, there was a lot of action, a lot of short track racing, and some good old-fashioned tempers flaring at the end. Many drivers getting caught out at the end of pit road, displaying their displeasures with other drivers. It was overall a very good event, with a surprise winner in Justin Henley, his very first V8 Cup Series start, filling in for the injured Roger James. He goes out and wins the entire race. He'll be starting 5th in today's race. Starting off with the 20-lap qualifying event to determine how the field would be lined up. 33 cars would partake in this event. Only the top 27 would end up making it to the race. Bradley Ream and Josh Moore would lead us down to the green of this event, as it was once again another clean qualifying race. No cautions, no wrecks, no chaos, at least for these races, but definitely some good racing to be seen all around throughout the field. You'll notice that many of these car drivers battling out for position. You see Bradley Ream losing out on some spots at the midway of the race, on about lap 7. As we said, though, it was a very, very clean event from start to finish. No cautions, so everyone was just able to take it from lap 1 all the way to lap 20. As you see some of the drivers in the back battling it out for those transfer spots. But in the end, it would be Ricky Freeman Jr. taking home the victory in the qualifying race and securing himself into today's main event. So good for Ricky Freeman and the Parker Enterprises team for getting themselves locked in. Drivers who would unfortunately end up missing out on today's race would include the likes of the 17 of John Ritson, Zachary Fitzwater Sr., Miles Mashburn, Solomon Sheridan, J.Q. Halak, and some others. Let's go ahead and take a look at the top 20 in points to see how the transfer spots and the championship gauntlet is shaping up after the first 3 races. Ethan Hayden will continue to hang on to his points lead as he is now expanded to 50 points on the season. David Dixon sits behind him in second, behind 10 points with 40. Justin Henley secured 37 points in his debut race. That's good enough to tie with Christian Russell for the 3rd position. And Nick Kennedy in a 4-way tie between himself, his team owner Jeff Bolton, Boston Jones, and Myron Felder, all with 34 points apiece. Zachary DeLillo, James Fletcher, and Annabelle DeGroat are all in a 3-way tie with 32 points apiece for that 9th position. Following them is Roberto Crown Jr. with 30 points after his very dominating performance at Atlanta. Didn't come home with the win, but still came home with enough points to have himself be in the top 15 for this race and the last race as well. Ruben Gonzalez still in the top 13 based off his Daytona performance. Owen Scott has been nabbing himself away at the points, but is still in the top 15 locked in. And Aiden Smith is the final of those in the top 15 that are locked into each race. Just outside of those positions is Ben Crouch in the 03 with 23 points, Josh Moore in 17th with 20, Leland Hill in 18th with 14, Ricky Freeman Jr. in 19th, and Nelson Reeves in 20th position with just 8 points. Those from 11th on back are on the outside looking in of the championship gauntlet. Remember, the top 10 in points before the final 10 races of the season will have their points all reset and will be able to battle it out for the championship during the final 10 races of the season. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's starting lineup. Bradley Ream in the number 9 Jeff Bolton Racing Ford would go ahead and nab the pole, as to his outside will be Josh Moore in the number 3 for the Robbers Racing team. Row 2 will see Riley Hill after missing out on last week's race, and Devon Fair making his debut for Owen Scott Racing this week. Row 3 will see last week's winner Justin Henley and to his outside Vortex Racing's owner Brett Bishop. Row 4 will see Marcus Brown making his debut for Mercedes-AMG Performance, and his teammate and points leader Ethan Hayden in the 19. Rounding out the top 10, we will see Christian Russell in the number 39 in 9th, and Ricky Freeman Jr. will start in 10th position. Then in row 6, we'll see Chris Parker and to his outside Ronnie Martin in the number 92. Starting in 13th, we'll have Adam Wilson and Ruben Gonzalez in the 26, starting 14th. Then Leland Hill and Aiden Smith will make up row 8, followed by Landon Laudenbach and Ben Crouch in row 9th. And rounding out the top 20 will be Abel DeGroat and Nick Kennedy racing for the number 68 Jeff Bourne Racing Team. Row 11 will see Chris White also making his season debut this week, and to his outside Carl Untersweffer in the 43. Then we'll have Jeff Bolton and Zachary DeLello making up row 12. Row 13 we'll see Carson Jefferson and James Fletcher, followed by Owen Scott and John McFadden, and rounding out the top 30 will be David Dixon and Nelson Reeves. Then we'll see Adrian Rojas and Priya McShane in row 16, Roberto Crown Jr. and Cody Goforth in 33rd and 34th respectively. Myron Felder had a good finish in last week's race, and Nathan Orman got caught out in a good bit of trouble, got wrecked at the end of some cautions, and then found himself driving straight into the bag of John Ritson. He'll be starting off in the 36th position. Then Already Alejo and Felix Rizzo will make up 37th and 38th. And rounding out row 20 will be Blake Parker and Boston Jones. Finally, the final drivers to make it in based on the qualifying race results, Cam Wright Sr. and Christian Vargas will round out the field. The DNQs for this week's race will unfortunately be Zachary Fitzwater Sr., who for the second week in a row will miss out in the qualifying and not make it to the main event. Miles Mashburn also not making it to the show. Solomon Sheridan missing out on today's race. JQ Halak, Arvin Basic, and John Ritson all unfortunately will not qualify for today's event. And now let's go trackside for the command of the B Water 400.
Drivers, start your engines!
All right, the field is fired up and away we go as we're about to get set for the B Water 400. Let's take a look at the track analysis real quick. It's going to be a 50-lap event around this 2 mile speedway, The pit window is going to be pretty close between the actual event distance. These cars should be able to go about 40 to 45 laps, so everyone should need to pit at least once during the event. The question is going to be when they pit, whether or not they try to hold out for as long as they can or pit as soon as possible will be up to the teams and drivers. It's a very beautiful day in Denver, 82 degrees outside. Pretty windy though, however, 11 miles per hour wind coming in from the northwest direction. Alright, so we're getting set now, 42 cars getting ready for this main event. Bradley Ream and Josh Moore on the front row. See a lot of heavy hitters. Last week's winner Justin Henley, the Royalty Graphics 500 winner Ethan Hayden, all there in the top 10, and they are going to look to have themselves a good race today, trying to improve upon their points positions. Pace car dives in as we get set to go for the B Water 400. Field coming to the line. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway at Denver. This track is incredibly racy, but so far it's going to look like Bradley Ream is going to pull out to the early lead. Coming across the line for lap 1, we saw 4 wide all the way across the field. You're going to see that a lot throughout this track. You're going to see 5 wide as they're going into the corner now, all the way down low. Is it going to work as some of these guys have to get way out of the throttle? Jeff Bolton way up on the high side, 4 wide all the way across below. As Abel de Groot has to get way out of the gas there in that number 48. Priya McShane heavy in the wall in the back there. But this track has a lot of room and a lot of different lines and grooves that these guys will be picking throughout the event. Some cars in the wall. That is Devon Fair in the 01. He is scraping against the wall hard. He cannot get off of the structure. He's going to come back down across the track, tries to get down pit road, and he's going to hold up Ben Crouch. Ooh, that is going to cost them, as Devon Fair just gets down pit road for repairs. But he's going to be badly damaged, and he really held up the likes of Ben Crouch in the 03 as these guys diving into the corner for their position, jockeying for these spots. You see that top line not really working out for Jeff Bolton. He's going to get heavy on the brakes into Abel de Groot, a little bit of contact, but they are going to keep it clean, as some of the best racing on this track is in the back for the positions that don't pay any points. You will notice that a lot of trouble cars in the back. That is the 76 and the 51. They are tangled together. Is one of them going to spin out? I'm not sure what is going on here. They are just up against each other. No caution is out, though. They're going to keep it going, but these two cannot get untangled from each other. This is terrible news for the 51 and the 76. They're still going against each other now. Battle for the lead. Here comes Riley Hill up onto the rear of the 9 of Bradley Ream. He might try to look to make the move. Still no caution as those two are still sliding up against each other as the leaders are coming back around. Here comes the 5 of Riley Hill now trying to make the move for the lead. What a bizarre start to the race, as I think these two are still going. Hopefully nobody comes across to hit them. No caution is out. I cannot believe the rulings from the Power VA Cup Series official. Now the caution is out as they come across in front of the leaders, as that could have been potentially dangerous. They finally do get the caution flag. But what a chaotic start to this race. I don't think Felix Rizzo is going to have much of a right side anymore after the ride he and Nelson Reeves took for this one. Reeves just clips the back of the 51. I think Rizzo tried to step out and go to the high side while Reeves had a run. And then for whatever reason, these two could not get unhooked from each other. Reeves must have had his tire stuck within the fender of Rizzo's. That's what I'm going to assume. And the two could not unhook from each other. They absolutely pretty much wall rode the both of each other for almost half of the track. Going at about, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 miles an hour at this pace. Amazing that the green flag was out for as long as it was, but by the time the leaders finally came around, these two could not get unhooked to save one another's racing life. And it definitely shows here as both of these guys' race is going to be done, is then they would end up just finally spinning out at the end. And that would finally be the end of that. Take a look at the contact once again. That would pretty much spawn the longest ride ever for the 76 and the 51. Yep, Reeves got a good run. Both of them were trying to make a move going for the same spot. You know, not really too much you could pinpoint on one another. Then finally, once they get to the corner, the force just spun them both around. Caution is out on lap 4 for what seems to be the longest spin out ever. Welcome back, everybody, here to the B Water 400 from the Denver Motorsports Park. We're going to get underway once again from the lap 4 caution involving the 51 of Felix Rizzo and the 76 of Nelson Reeves. Both of them will still be able to continue on, as so far we've had no casualties, despite the incredible 4, even 5 wide pack racing we've seen in the back. Devon Fair is the only car 1 lap down, as he had to pit early for the damage he suffered after getting caught out in the wall early. We're going to get restarted now on lap 9, as Bradley Ream in the 9 is going to get set and try to hold off for his lead. He's led every single lap so far, but just before the caution, Riley Hill came right up behind him with a nice charge and tried to battle him for the lead. Let's see if the 5 will be able to get around the 9. As now we're going to get set here for the restart. As in the restart box now, the green flag is back in the air. And we'll go back racing here at Denver. Ream going to get off to a pretty decent start, getting around the lap-carved Devon Fair fairly easily. No pun intended. Here comes the 19, Ethan Hayden, our points leader, trying to make the move on Josh Moore. Looking to the inside, he's got Christian Russell giving him some pressure in the back. Bradley Ream, though, going to get out to a nice lead to start. 3 wide in the middle, couple Parker Enterprises cars battling it out pretty hard. Ethan Hayden getting caught up in the lap traffic. Devon Fair holding them up. That's going to allow Christian Russell to make the move on the outside. Marcus Brown might be able to as well. Little 3 wide action in the back. Here comes Leland Hill in the middle of Chris Parker and Ronnie Martin. As also behind him, Ruben Gonzalez pushing the 33 hard, gives him a nudge and shoves him up the track. Chris Parker getting a rear bumper used heavily by Ruben Gonzalez. He's trying to waste no time moving him out of the way. As we got some good racing all around. Here comes the 5 now, little 5-car train. The 01 a lap down, though, remember. Josh Moore looks to the high side to try to get around the 5 of Riley Hill. This is for the 2nd position, but can't do much with it. Look around in the middle of the pack now. We might see a little 4 wide action. Yes, we will. The 83, 12, 26, and 46 all going at it across the start-finish line now. And I believe those spots, this is just for the 15th position. This is how hard they're fighting for 1 point. All of these cars, look at how close they're going. The 15 practically pushing the 12 in the middle of the corner. This is absolutely great stuff. You absolutely have to love the action that you are seeing. These Power V8 Cup Series drivers give it their all. They race their absolute hardest for any position, no matter how many points or if it pays any points. You know, these guys will go at it and give it their best. Right now, though, we are seeing a 4-car battle for second, as it is allowing Bradley Ream to increase his gap upon the field. He's got a little over a half-second lead, as the 3 and the 5 are going to battle it out. Josh Moore dives it into the corner. It's a very, very good run. Marcus Brown also this is his first race ever. He gets a nice run out of the corner, and he's going to look for that 2nd spot. Marcus Brown in the 70. Racing for the family team. His cousin owns the team. Or his brother, excuse me, I believe. Right now, he's got the 2nd position, and he's going to try to go for Bradley Ream, the leader, who's led every single lap up to this point. Our pole sitter's done a very good job in the beginning stages at controlling this race. Look through the field now as it's starting to get a little more spread out. Still some good battles for position all around, but not as much pack racing as we're seeing Ronnie Martin here facing some pressure. He's getting passed by Landon Laudenbach and Brett Bishop, looking to force the move. But meanwhile, up at the front, Christian Russell pushing the 3 of Josh Moore. Moore losing out on some positions. He's starting to fade his way back. Devon Fair also, remember, he's a lap down. He's trying to fight to get his lap back, but he's holding up with the main pack. Whether or not he's holding up the main pack or holding with them, that's one you can argue over. But as it stands, Bradley Ream continues to grow his lead over the field, as is growing to, oh, now it's actually getting shrunken. It was almost a second that last lap, but now it's only 3/4 of a second between how much Marcus Brown has been able to close into that gap. Him and Riley Hill have settled out their battle for that second position, excuse me. I'm all over the place right now. But there we go, as the field's starting to single file out. They're trying to close in the leader, keeping their eyes on the main target, the main prize, and that is that 1st position. Marcus Brown getting some help from Riley Hill. Christian Russell looking to the inside of Josh Moore for the 4th position. 39's going to get a good run, but backs out of the corner early. Tries to dive it back in. He is going to power through and take the 4th position from Josh Moore. That 3 car is starting to fade a little bit, as we're starting to see some other Chargers. Here comes Ricky Freeman Jr. in the 19 of Ethan Hayden. Also trying to make some moves, but meanwhile, up at the front, the 70 and the 5 have caught up to the 9 of Bradley Ream. I think Ream's car is definitely set up well for the short runs. He can get off to a great run and gets off to a gap, but once the run gets to about 5-10 laps in, that's when the pack is able to reel him back in, as we're seeing now. The 70 and the 5 are right there knocking on the door of our leader. Coming across the line for lap 16 now. Here comes Marcus Brown diving it into the corner once more. He's got the 5 of Riley Hill right to is inside of him looking in, constantly keeping some pressure on the rookie as well. Brown doing a tremendous job in his first ever race. Seems to be the drivers that just come in and hop into these cars, they're able to perform very well. Last week's winner, Justin Henley, did the same thing. And Marcus Brown is trying to replicate that success. As meanwhile in the back, here's Henley fighting alongside the 54 of Leland Hill, the owner of Leland Motorsports. Leland trying to have himself bounce back race after not scoring points in last week's event and get himself back in the top 15 in points. He wants to contend for that championship gauntlet at the end of the season. So he's got to be able to put up some good, consistent performances. But meanwhile, we're starting to see a little pack here forming. 5 cars might battle it out for that second position. It's allowing Bradley Ream to start to get ahead once more. And speaking of more, Josh Moore now looked to the outside of Marcus Brown, not able to do anything though. Here comes Christian Russell to the outside though, wanted to make it 3 wide, but just didn't have as much momentum. He will try to defend his spot from Ricky Freeman Jr. in the 7, who is trying to do what he can in that new Pepsi Blue car. But meanwhile, Marcus Brown now gets himself separated from that pack behind him and is going to try to set his sights on the 9 of Bradley Ream. Ream washes up the track a little bit now. That's going to allow the 70 to drive into the corner. Here we go. We're finally going to see a move for the lead. Marcus Brown to the inside of Bradley Ream. What can he do? Ream just gets a little bit of a better run on the exit of the corner. Brown's going to have to try to dive it in well. He's got to get a good run off, but it's not looking for it right now as more and more of the pack is starting to chime in. We might see a big group of cars here try to battle it out for these top 3 to 5 positions. Almost the entire top 10 is within the shot. You're seeing the top 8 right now. From Bradley Ream to Nathan Orman, just separated by 1 second, as here comes the 70 and Marcus Brown. He gets right into the corner, right up to the back of Bradley Ream, gives him a little bit of a nudge, but Ream is going to be able to power off and drive away, as I'm not sure if the caution lights are out. No, they are not. I'm just seeing things. Meanwhile, Josh Moore coming back now. His car might be coming back to him on the longer run, as we're starting to get ourselves here a good long run now. Marcus Brown is going to defend the position. Riley Hill going to try to take 3rd back, and he will on the outside coming across the front stretch. Through the tri-oval into turn 2 they go. It's very intriguing to see which line everyone takes as Bradley Ream washes up very hard into the corner. He got into the brakes early, but that'll allow him to power out even more on the exit. It's interesting to see which lines everyone takes, some going towards the middle, the top, and the low line. It all just depends on how hard you go in your entry and how much power you can get off, and that will be the main factor on which line works. Otherwise than that, there really is no one line around this track, and that's what makes it one of the more fun tracks on the schedule. This will be the only race this season where we will be on the oval. We will come back to the Denver Motorsports Park later on in the season during the championship gauntlet races, but that will be for the Roval portion of this track, as we saw a 3-wide move for 3rd. Josh Moore able to make it stick. That 3 car has been battling it out, trying to stay within the top 3, and he's been doing a pretty good job. Marcus Brown has been trying to get around the 9 of Bradley Ream, but just hasn't been able to. Ream now able to put within a half a second between himself and the 70. Battling it out for more positions. Ethan Hayden now creeping his way into the top 5 or points leader. He's been doing fantastic this year, very consistent after his Daytona win, and it seems to be that his team's been using the earnings very wisely. That car has constantly been within the top 10 and even in the top 5 pretty much every single race this year. Marcus Brown, though, however, his Mercedes teammate, starting to reel back in the 9 of Bradley Ream. Will he be able to get around him, though? That is the question. It's not about whether they can catch up to him. That they've been able to easily prove, but if they can get around them, that'll be something that they'll have to watch out for. I want to highlight one thing throughout the field that I've noticed as, the 19 getting some pressure. But look in the back here, we see the 88 of Cam Wright Sr. He is doing an absolutely tremendous job considering he started second to last in this race, had a very poor race. His entire team did at Middle Georgia last week, but he is absolutely charging through the field. So absolute props to Cam Wright Sr. From second to last all the way up almost into the top 20 now. He is in 22nd, definitely one of our highest movers in this race. Back to the front though, Josh Moore and the 70 of Marcus Brown. Moore is up to the rear now. I think Josh Moore's car is really coming alive to him in this run, and he's feeling it more and more. He's right up to the rear bumper of the 70, gives him a little bit of a nudge into the corner, but can't do much with it out of the corner, as he's going to have to try to sit back in line here. We're starting to see a little bit of some single file racing. The 7 of Ricky Freeman settles in that 4th position. Nathan Orman in 5th, doing a pretty good job considering the entertaining race, to say the least, he had last week. Here comes the 7 of Ricky Freeman, though. He's going to dive it into the corner on the 3 of Josh Moore. The 70 is still keeping the 9 car within his reach and his distance. It's got a very good view on him. As you might see 3 cars here go for this 4th spot. Nathan Orman puts the bumper onto the 7 of Ricky Freeman Jr. And he's got Ethan Hayden behind him trying to pressure. But so far, Bradley Ream will continue to lead. Remember, these cars will have to pit. Their pit life should be around 40 to 45 laps. Albeit, the caution should help them a little bit, but I don't think that one caution will be enough considering their fuel or their tire wear. So this field will possibly need another caution or 2 if they want to try to make it this race without pitting, which I think is very unlikely. So if this race goes green to the end, green flag pit stops are going to have to be a factor, and they might be a factor in one of the wackiest ways. These teams could wait until the very end to try and get in their fuel runs to make it to the end of this race. I'm not sure if any teams will go out to take tires, honestly. As here comes the 70 of Marcus Brown. He's going to look to the outside of Bradley Ream. He's going to try to get that line. It seems to work the best for Ream. He wants to take it away from him, but he just can't. Brown's going to enter in the corner lower now, gets the nose to the bottom of Bradley Ream. Ream's got to check out, but gets back into the gas, and he's going to be able to just enough outpower the 70 of Marcus Brown. As we see here coming across the backstretch. Watch out, though. Marcus Brown still holding within him, and he's going to dive it into the corner once more. Here comes Josh Moore and Ricky Freeman as well. They want to join in on the battle for the lead. They just might with how much the 70 and the 9 are racing side by side, but it's not going to be enough. Bradley Ream will hold on to the lead and the momentum, and now Josh Moore, Ricky Freeman, it's going to be a Chevy train on the outside as they are going to just outpower Marcus Brown. 3 cars all drafting together, all Chevys working together to try to take over this lead. Look at this. The 7 now moving up the 3 of Josh Moore. Ricky Freeman was going to say, hey, I pushed you all the way up here. How about you let me go ahead and take this lead? Moore, though, is going to put up a pretty good fight. He's been battling hard, defending constantly all day long, as we're now just at a little over the halfway mark of this race. Here comes Nathan Orman and Marcus Brown also to the party. Brown trying to get some of his positions back, but he's got to back out of the corner. Coming across the line to take lap 28, Bradley Ream is able to gap the 2nd position now a little bit, just over half a second. As we see now Ethan Hayden in the number 19 Mercedes passing his teammate in the 70. I think Marcus Brown might have used up his equipment a little bit. Seems to be fading away on him, as now he might lose out to the 7th position on Christian Russell, and he will. Russell going to... Oh, no, they're still side by side. Nope, Russell now has him cleared. Bradley Ream, though, now able to put out an even bigger gap, as here comes the 7 of Ricky Freeman, going to try to dive it on the inside of Josh Moore. Nathan Orman going to hop to the outside line on Ricky Freeman. That may actually work out, and it possibly will with some help from Ethan Hayden, as now Hayden's going to give the 95 a really big push. Definitely seems to be, if you want to get by someone, you got to have some help to do it. If you can get someone behind you to give you that momentum, you will definitely be able to go around them. But that's just the key. If you don't have that momentum, if you don't have someone or two to push you, you're not going to be able to make the move stick. As here comes Ethan Hayden now. He wants to look to the inside to Nathan Horman to try to get that third position. Hayden's been very quiet this race so far. He's lingering in the top 10, but now he is making himself known. The points leader is trying to increase his presence as we see him dive to the inside of Nathan Horman. Hayden now gets a good run on the inside of the corner. He may just be able to make the move stick with that Mercedes power. He will. Ethan Hayden to the inside to the third position. Josh Moore, though, has been slowly but surely working on this gap between himself and Bradley Ream as we're coming now 21 laps to go, getting down to some of the final crunch, getting down to the wire, crunching down some of these laps. The top 7 are still within it. They all have a decent shot and a chance to win it, but if you want to be able to win this race, it seems like you're going to have to go through Bradley Ream. He's led every single lap so far, our pole sitter, been absolutely dominant, and he's done a fantastic job in this race. But right now, Bradley Ream able to close in that gap. He's got Ethan Hayden coming, so hopefully the 19 can get there, possibly could give him a push, and we may see a decent battle for the lead here. Josh Moore reeling in that number 9, the Hardee's Ford. Is going to get right up to the rear bumper of the 9. And going to look to the high side. Ream's going to block. Moore's going to follow in line. Try to keep that slipstream, keep that draft in momentum. But it seems to be Bradley Ream now getting himself a little bit of a run. He's got to back out of it early, but that's to help set him up in the exit of the corner. He gets an incredible drive off compared to the rest of the field. But Josh Moore hanging with him now. If Moore can possibly make the move on the tri-oval, that's going to be where he'll need to, and that'll be his best bet. If he could possibly get to the inside or the outside, would probably be even better. Seems to be more grip on that high line. But here comes Moore. Gets right up to the rear. Bradley Ream. So they're both running the middle. Top 7 starting to string away a little bit here. Ethan Hayden and Ricky Freeman kind of chugging along with the top 2. But you see from Nathan Horman on back, they're starting to fall back a little bit now. Marcus Brown trying to get back into the top 5. Josh Moore looking to the inside, gets the bumper right to the 9 of Bradley Ream. He is right on him, pushes him up the track just a slight bit, but that's going to allow Ream to get right up on it. But Josh Moore letting him know, hey, I am there and I want to get by you. That's going to allow Ethan Hayden now to come right through. He's got to be very careful here. Bradley Ream wants to make sure he doesn't get dumped. Anything of that matter is very possible now. Ream throws it hard in the corner. Moore's going to go pretty conservative, though. Let's see if that'll give him a better runoff. And it does not. Moore is not going to be able to get as good of a run as Ream did on that high side. Ethan Hayden now right to the rear of Josh Moore. This is exactly what Moore didn't need. As here comes Ricky Freeman Jr. to the inside. Hayden to the outside. 3 wide for second. Who's going to be able to hold it in? It's going to be Ethan Hayden, who's going to put his foot in it and take the second position. What a move from the Mercedes-AMG driver. Sticks it around the high side. He wants to go for his second win of the season. Hayden now, he's got a point to prove. Going up toe-to-toe with Bradley Ream. He said, I waited long enough. I want to get by you and I want to win this race. Here comes the 7 of Ricky Freeman now, sticking his nose to the inside of Josh Moore. He wants to get by the 3. What a race for position we've been seeing here. We've had a tremendously incredible green flag run. Has been action-packed, filled with some great racing. The 3 now, sticking his nose to the inside of Ethan Hayden. He hooks him a little bit. He's still hooking him down to the apron. They go. They're both going to save it. It's getting incredibly close now. As here comes Ricky Freeman Jr. to the outside, and he's going to try to take that second position, take advantage of the mistake made by both Josh Moore. And causing Ethan Hayden, he almost clipped him to the point where it spun him out. Freeman now, though, is going to try to get a good run on that high side. But Moore helping out the 19, giving him a run on that bottom. It's giving him an incredible push. This 3 wide racing has allowed the 70 of Marcus Brown to catch back up, get in the mix between the battle for second. And it's also allowing Bradley Ream to start running away once more with this lead. It's been incredibly close so far in the first stages of the race. We're almost getting down to it. The final stages, we're getting close to the end of this pit run as well. So I believe we're going to see some cars coming down pit road within the next 10 laps. So this will for sure get incredibly interesting. The 19 of Ethan Hayden goes way up high, going to try to get a great run off the corner, but the 3 of Josh Moore still holding it in. Here comes the 7 of Ricky Freeman Jr. as well, trying to help out the 3. He's going to give him a nice push down the backstretch. Marcus Brown going to try to help out his Mercedes teammate, or not. He'll also look to the inside. Ethan Hayden now might lose out on 3 spots in 1 lap. Freeman goes up high to block. That's going to force Hayden up higher. And Marcus Brown now looking to the inside. Hayden clips the wall just a slight bit. Hopefully that doesn't affect him too much. But he is losing out now to the 5th position. Josh Moore back up into 2nd. Ricky Freeman to 3rd. Marcus Brown going to try to hold it in there. He wants to get that 4th position back, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Here comes Christian Russell and Leland Hill making his way through the field. Hill now using the momentum of the 39 to try to get around that 70 car. But the drivers in 2nd and 3rd, they've got a lot of work to do. It's almost a second of a gap has been pushed between themselves and the 9 of Bradley Ream. Ream has been absolutely dominating this race from flag to flag. And he might be the first driver to start on the pole and lead every single lap in this race. We'll see if he takes home the fastest lap. Nope. Right now the holder of that is Leland Hill in the 54. So bonus point for the 54 Leland Hill right now, considering he's in the points and he's got the fastest lap. A couple bonus points for that, actually. But here's Josh Moore getting a nice push from Ricky Freeman Jr. I think Freeman's going to want to look to make the move pretty soon here. He's going to dive to the inside of the 3. Sticks the nose in there. Backs it off just a little bit. 19 Ethan Hayden now trying to get himself back within the mix. Coming up now to 12 laps to go. Bradley Ream still out in front. And this time he's got a pretty marginal gap. Now it's over a second as the 7 and the 3 are going to battle it out for second once more. These guys racing hard for this second spot. It's absolutely costing themselves a chance at going for the win. Because just getting to Bradley Ream is going to be difficult. Getting by him is even a bigger ask. And with the way they're racing, I'm just not sure if they're going to be able to do it at this point. The laps just keep winding down more and more as they go. Here comes Josh Moore now, trying to get to the inside of Ricky Freeman. Here comes Ethan Hayden and Christian Russell to the outside. Russell making his move, gets the nose to the 19, looks low. And as we see across the line, Ricky Freeman holds that second spot now. He's going to get well ahead of that 3rd position by a couple of car lengths. Josh Moore goes up high. Ethan Hayden, Marcus Brown, 3 wide for 4th. Who's going to hold it? It's going to be Marcus Brown who's going to get down there to the inside. Leland Hill now going to try to make his move, as he's been sitting in that 7th position for a while. Christian Russell, he's been sitting in the top 10 most of this race, but has finally emerged into the top 3. Look at him go. He's going to look for this 2nd position, putting pressure on Ricky Freeman Jr. as we are now 10 laps to go with Bradley Ream crossing the line. Abel DeGroat is down pit road, one of the first to pit. We see him now on lap 40. This is going to be huge. We'll see if the 48 of DeGroat is trying to short pit and jump. The 46 of Myron Felder has also pitted. So pit stops are now beginning. This is going to be huge, the pit cycle. We'll see how this pit strategy comes. Oh, 2 cars are in the wall. Nick Kennedy and Nathan Orman are around. Caution's out in front of Riley Hill. This is a huge wreck. My goodness, the 40 of Aiden Smith is down. More cars coming in. It's the big one at Denver. An absolutely colossal wreck. The 77 of DeLello. There goes Priya McShane. Oh my goodness. Wow. All these cars are now out of the race. The race back to the line is Bradley Ream. That absolutely, wow, that's going to change the oh my goodness, I'm at no words for what just happened. Over half the field just wrecked on the backstretch. Caution is out on lap 42. So we're going to get our first looks here. Not too sure what happens. Nathan Orman seems to come up pretty high in the corner. Nick Kennedy, oh, he just gets an incredible run on him and chases him up the track. Then these two come sliding down in front of traffic. Many cars are going to get hit and pummeled. Lots of damage. You see the 40 of Aiden Smith flipping over. More cars getting hit in front. The 77 getting hit hard. The 00 of Adam Wilson got absolutely pummeled. The 98 of Priya McShane goes for a terrible ride. Wow. Take another look here. The 68 and the 95 going to get involved. The Nick Kennedy just came up way too hot on the 95. Was not expecting him to check up that much. And then absolutely chaos ensues. The 93 goes for a crazy ride. Nathan Norman with some heavy hits. Aiden Smith gets flipped over here. Then the rest of the field comes in. Cam Wright Sr. takes a hard hit. Adam Wilson an incredibly hard hit as well. More cars involved. Then Priya McShane just gets absolutely catapulted by the 94. Take another angle of the wreck originally happening at the top. See here. Just Nick Kennedy got way too deep into the corner. Had a good run on Nathan Norman. Pretty good shame for those two guys as they were having an incredible day. But the amount of cars that this wreck has taken out, it's, oh my goodness. You see even more cars getting involved. And it is just an absolute junkyard on the backstretch. Gonna go on board with Cam Wright Sr. as he gets a pretty good look at all the chaos and carnage that ensues. See all the way at the top corner of your screen that 68 gets into the 95, and then it's just nowhere to go from here. Yep, Cam Wright is pretty unlucky. It's gonna get hit again. And it's just a shame. Go on board with Adam Wilson as he's going to take a very interesting ride. Hope he's okay. Hopefully didn't suffer an injury. This is a very vicious hit. Goes head on into Cam Wright first. Then it's a wild hit twice. Oh, he even rolled over. Take a look at Boston Jones' perspective as he pretty much helps catapult the 98 of Priya McShane. What a crazy wreck. All the drivers trying to daze a thunder through the accident. And this is the end result of it. Hard racing to the end of the pit cycle is going to be the result of this huge crash on lap 42. Caution is out as we will be right back after this. Get one more replay of the incredible incident. So with the caution out right now, we'll take a look at the pit cycles. We're going to see who comes in and who doesn't. It's all going to be dependent on Bradley Ream. He's in that very bad position right now where he'll be damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. And Ream is going to come down pit road, and it looks like most of the field's going to stay out. You see the 7 of Ricky Freeman staying out, as most of them now going to try to make it to the end without having to pit. Here comes Bradley Ream now coming down pit road. Others include the 22 of Chris White, Roberto Crown Jr., also making his way down pit road. Nelson Reeves there as well. Blake Parker with a little bit of some damage. But as the field is going to come around, Bradley Ream's going to be the only one of the main leaders to end up coming down pit road. Otherwise, everyone else is going to do what they can to make it to the end on the tires in the field that they started with. All right, welcome back everybody here to the B Water 400. We are on lap 45 right now under caution due to the incredibly huge accident involving Nathan Norman and Nick Kennedy. Normally we would show you the involved graphics, but there was just too many people involved to count. I think it'd be easier to just show you who wasn't involved in that. So right now after the pit cycle, Ricky Freeman Jr. will be the leader, followed by Christian Russell in second, Marcus Brown in third, Josh Moore fourth, then Leland Hill in 5th, Ethan Hayden 6th, Myron Felder 7th, Owen Scott in 8th, Ronnie Martin in 9th, and James Fletcher rounds out the top 10. Bradley Ream will fall all the way back to the 13th position after that pit cycle. He was one of the few cars, along with Chris White, Roberto Crown Jr., Nelson Reeves, and Alrighty Alejo to come down pit road. These are the only cars that are remaining in this race. And, well, I believe just about every single one of them except 2 of them will be able to score points. So that's going to be incredible to see. Everybody else is out of the race from easily the biggest crash we've ever had in series history. That was even bigger than the big ones that we had at Daytona. That was easily the biggest crash we've ever had. No question about it. So now we're going to get the restart with a 17-car field and a 5-lap dash to the finish. It's anybody's race. This is exactly what we came here to see. It's the Power V8 Cup Series to the fullest. Ricky Freeman Jr. in his 3rd start is going to lead us down to the green. Christian Russell behind him looking for his first win on the season. Marcus Brown as well in his debut race, trying to do what Justin Henley did last week. Green flag is in the air. We're going to go back racing for 5 more laps. Marcus Brown looks to the inside. Christian Russell going to dive to the inside as well. Look at everyone go. They're all going for positions, jockeying for what they can, trying to get the best restart. Russell's going to dive it into the corner. 4 wide for 3rd. Here comes Myron Felder. Look at that run on the inside. He is flying on the restart now as that Tag Heuer Honda is absolutely on rails. He might actually be a lap down. He is. There's some lap traffic in this. With that new pit stop, he's on new tires. Leland Hill gets bumped up by the 92 of Ronnie Martin. This is 4th position though. Christian Russell, going for the lead on Ricky Freeman Jr. 2 of the Ronnie Racing Dodgers have to pit. Martin and Owen Scott are now down pit road. Will the rest of the field be able to make it? Those 2 Dodgers miscalculated their pit strategy. We'll just have to see if the rest of the field can. That's going to be a huge factor now as Myron Felder is going to dive it in. He is a lap down. He does not matter in the race right now. Ricky Freeman Jr. is your leader. And his best bet would probably be to just let the 46 Honda go by. He's on way fresher tires, as he was one of the cars that pitted right before the lead. But right now, Russell holds on to the 2nd position. And let's see if anyone else is coming down pit road. I think the 25 might possibly be. Nope, yes, he is. The 25 is going to come down pit road. Here comes the leader. Ricky Freeman is down. Many a car's coming down pit road now. Freeman, Moore, Hill, Brown, and Fletcher are all down pit road. So right now your leader is Christian Russell with 3 laps to go. Can he make it to the end? Here's Ethan Hayden in the 2nd position. Chris White in his debut race in 3rd. Look at all these guys battling it out for the points-paying positions. They are racing as hard as they can right now. Some of these guys are a lap down. As we see here, the only one actually would be David Dixon. But as we sit right now, Myron Felder is going to get his lap back. Christian Russell, the leader, he might be pitting as well. I'm not sure when he's going to have to pit. The 19 of Ethan Hayden now coming down pit road. He's not going to be able to make it. Chris Parker won't be able to make it as well. We're now coming to just 2 laps to go. It's pretty much all or nothing for these guys. As here comes Chris White, David Dixon. He's a lap down. So Chris White sits in 2nd. Bradley Ream now charging back up to the front. Can he be able to win this race? Will his pit strategy call be the right one? Ream now charging back up to the front. But Christian Russell just has to coast to the end. He's got a 3-second lead over 2nd. But will he pit? Coming to the line. The white flag is going to come around this time. Is Russell going to pit? Nope, he's going to stay out. That's the smart thing to do. Just try to make it to the end at this point. White flag in the air for Christian Russell. Can he make it to the end of this crazy race? This has been one for the ages now, as Chris White in the 2nd position. Nelson Reeves in 3rd. Bradley Ream in 4th. Is he going to be able to make it? Will he run out of gas? Russell, so far, so good. As is the rest of the field. They might just be able to make the no-stop work. Russell's got 1 more corner to go. Coasting on fumes. The 39 of Christian Russell came oh so close at Atlanta. Just by a couple hundredths of a second. This week at Denver, he is going to win by a good bit of seconds, as now he will win the B-Water 400 at Denver. Chris White will come home 2nd, Reeves in 3rd. Bradley Ream will take home 4th after dominating the entire race. And Roberto Crown Jr. will round out the top 5. But Christian Russell is your winner when it's all said and done. How about that? What a race that we had. That was absolutely fantastic from start to finish. Absolutely great racing all around, and the wrecks were insane. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the finishing results. Christian Russell would end up taking home the win. He sat around in the top 10 most of the race, but charged his way up to the front towards the end, and with good fuel-saving strategy, he was able to stretch out his fuel and tires enough to where he did not have to pit in this race. Good job to the 39 team, along with the 22 of Chris White, finishing second in his debut race for Vortex Racing. I know Brett Bishop and that team are going to be very happy with those results. Chris White did a very good job with the strategy that came to him. Nelson Reeves coming home in third, also a good job for that team. Bounce back race considering they missed out on last week's race, so good for Nelson Reeves coming home in the third position. Bradley Ream would finish in fourth, just 3 spots off the place that he was for pretty much the majority of the race, the first 42 laps. Had made a good pit call towards the end, but it just wasn't enough as 3 guys were able to outsmart him on the strategy. Roberto Crown Jr. would round out the top 5. Finishing behind him is Ricky Freeman Jr. in 6th. Leland Hill would come home 7th, and Ronnie Martin in 8th, along with his teammate Owen Scott in 9th, and Josh Moore would round out the top 10. Ethan Hayden would come home 11th, followed by his teammate Marcus Brown, who had a very good race in his debut, albeit he'd love for a better finish to show for it. Coming home with the points-paying position in your first race is always something to be proud of. Then we have James Fletcher in the 13th position, followed by Myron Felder in 14th, and Chris Parker grabbing the last points-paying position, finishing in the 15th position. Alrighty, Alejo would finish 16th and be the last of the finishers on the lead lap. David Dixon would come home 17th, 1 lap down, and would be the last of anybody who would even finish the race. Everyone from 18th on back ended up retiring due to the lap 42 incident. So, the retirement list as it goes, in order: Jeff Bolton in 18th, Carl Unterwefer in 19th, and Felix Rizzo rounding out the top 20 due to their retirements. Then, from 21st on back, we would see Blake Parker, Christian Vargas, Zachary DeLello, Cam Wright Sr., Aiden Smith, Nathan Orman, Carson Jefferson, Nick Kennedy, Riley Hill, and James Henley be the retirements from 21st to 30th. Then 31st to 40th would include Landon Laudenbach, Brett Bishop, Adrian Rojas, Adam Wilson, John McFadden, Priya McShane, Cody Goforth, Ruben Gonzalez, Boston Jones, and Abel DeGroat. And then finally, the last 2 positions would be claimed by Devon Fair and Ben Crouch. Everyone from 18th on back would retire out of that race from that gigantic crash that was seen on lap 42. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the top 20 in points are shaping up after our 4th race of the season. Christian Russell will be our new points leader for the first time this season with a total of 69 points. He'll hold a 13-point lead over Ethan Hayden, who was the points leader going into this race. Roberto Crown Jr. able to make some gains, moving up into the 3rd position, followed by David Dixon in 4th with 40 points. Justin Henley will still sit in 5th after his win from last week. Then Owen Scott will finish up in 6th in the points. James Fletcher will be in 7th. And then we are in a 8-way tie with 34 points between Nick Kennedy, Jeff Bolton, Boston Jones, and Myron Felder. Behind them, tied with 12 points, is both Zachary DeLello and Abel DeGroat. Felder, DeLello, and DeGroat are all on the outside looking in on the top 10 in points, the championship gauntlet spots. Remember, the top 10 in points at the end of the season will get to battle it out for the championship during the last 10 races of the year. Sitting in the 14th position is Leland Hill with 31 points, and in 15th, in the final one of the top 15 spots locked into each race, is Nelson Reeves with 30 points. Just on the outside looking in of the locked-in spots is Bradley Ream with 29 points, Josh Moore and Ricky Freeman Jr. both with 28, Ruben Gonzalez in 19th with 27 points, and Chris White, after a great debut race, comes home with 25 points. That'll be good enough for 20th in the points standings. We thank you for tuning in once again to the B Water 400 here at Denver. It was an exciting race that had a little bit of everything. Awesome pack racing, some great moves, battles for the lead, fuel strategy, crazy wrecks, and all in all, we had ourselves a surprise winner. Once again, thank you for tuning in. If you'd like, be sure to check out our sponsors and our social media. Check out our Instagram at PowerOfficialNR for all the updates and latest news regarding all the Power V8 Cup Series races. Also, check out our sponsors, Royalty Graphics and Victory Lane Collectables. Royalty Graphics is the official graphics provider of the Power V8 Cup Series, and they provided all the paint schemes and graphics you see here today. Check out their Instagram at Royalty Graphics or their Twitter at Graphics Royal. And Victory Lane Collectables, the official custom diecast provider of the Power V8 Cup Series. Check out their Instagram, victory_lane_collectibles. That's victory_lane_collectibles. We hope you enjoyed this race as much as we did, and we're excited to be announcing our race next week at the Old Spice Speedway, the first road course event of the season. It'll be the Old Spice Swagger Battle at the Old Spice Speedway. You won't want to miss it. It's going to sure be a fun event. Kick off the first of the 3 triple header road course event series on our West Coast swing. So once again, you won't want to miss it next week at Old Spice for the Old Spice Swagger Battle. Thank you everybody for tuning in today, and we hope to see you at the next race.